Welcome to Chef Marc's High Heat Turkey. Today we're going to take all these ingredients, the carrots, the green beans, the mushrooms, and we're going to prepare a Thanksgiving meal in under 2 hours. It's hard to believe we have a raw turkey here to a cooked turkey ready to serve in under 2 hours. Come, join me today, and let's get started. First thing that you have to do is make sure you preheat your oven. Preheat your oven to 450 to 475 degrees. The second thing we have to do is we have to have a thawed turkey. If your turkey's not thawed, it's very tough to work with. So you have a couple of options. Buy your frozen turkey 5 days in advance and put it in your refrigerator and let it thaw for 4 or 5 days. If you find yourself getting a turkey the night before Thanksgiving and it's still frozen, your options are filling your bathtub up with cold water and let it float overnight. When we have the thawed turkey and we take it out of the package, the first thing we do is we remove the giblets and we cover them with about a ½ inch of chicken stock and we put them on the stove to simmer for about 2.5 to 3 hours. In this process, I want you to understand the acronym DONE. DONE stands for dry, oil, no salt, and extreme heat. Very simple, and that's the method that we're going to use. The next thing we have to do is dry the turkey. We have to dry the turkey inside and out because moisture is our enemy. Any moisture that we keep inside the cavity will start kind of like a steam generation, and it'll take all kinds of moisture, and you won't have that moist turkey that we're looking for. Even for the hard parts in between the backbones, I take kind of a fork and I put it inside the towel and I just get it completely dry. Now we have all the moisture out of the turkey and we're ready to proceed. As we finish drying the turkey, the next thing that you have to do is you have to cut the cavity and the excess skin around it. I use my mom's good pinking shears because they're really sharp. I also take that other beautiful part called the Pope's nose and I cut it completely off, allowing all of this area here for the heat to get into this backbone. Now we're ready to oil the turkey. I just take olive oil, or if you don't have olive oil, any type of oil will anneal it. I just put it on all over the turkey. I put it inside the cavity. I put it also on the back, and I cover the whole turkey inside and out so we can seal in the moisture and the flavor and the juices of the turkey. Now, the turkey is completely sealed with oil, as you can see inside and out. And now I'm going to take our pan and have our pan ready. The next thing that I do is I'm going to take some herbs of Provence and get them inside the cavity. I use dried herbs of Provence. If you have fresh herbs and you have them, it's all right. But dried herbs for me are a lot better because they have a lot less of the chlorophyll flavor inside of them. I use herbs of Provence, which is rosemary, lavender, marjoram, fennel, basil, and that's all. That's pretty much all I use. So when I have it oiled and I have the herbs on it, I then I can use a fork or I can use a spoon. I'm using a spoon here because it's the right size. And what I actually do is I take and I force the spoon inside the back of the turkey and the top of the turkey. I keep it open with this because if you don't have a spoon or a fork inside of it, it has a tendency to collapse down. And when it collapses down while it's cooking, it has a tendency to create steam inside the turkey and we lose that moisture. So you can see I have that and it'll stay there. It'll stay just like that for the whole cooking of the turkey. So we're there now. We've got it dried. We've got it oiled. There's no salt. We have our herbs on it. And we're ready for our next step, which is the pan. So I'll take this. I'll pull the rack out of it. And I'll place the turkey inside the rack. Very simple. Put the skin inside. I don't want any part of the turkey to touch the pan so we don't boil it. And now, once I have it in the rack, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to take foil. This foil, I'm going to take and I'm going to put a little bit of the olive oil on it. And I'm going to put that over the tips of the legs to keep them from separating while we're cooking the turkey at 450 degrees. So we have that done. It now goes into the pan. And I have that set. Turkey's in the pan. I have the foil on the bottom of this. The next step we do is I add the chicken broth, the chicken stock, inside the pan. I use about a quart, sometimes a quart and a half, but we will be checking this a little bit later while we're cooking it. The next step before we put it in is we take a piece of foil, a little oil on top, and I oil it. If you want to spray it with Pam, which is lecithin or anything else, that's fine too. The reason I oil it is because we want to keep this foil, while it's cooking, from sticking to the top of the turkey. You notice I kept the cavity open so the heat will get into the backbone of the turkey and it'll cook evenly. We're ready to go. This turkey's ready to go inside the oven. We've dried it, oiled it, no salt, and we're ready to put it in the extreme heat. We finished our acronym. We're ready to go. We'll check it again in 45 minutes. Of everything I have at the Thanksgiving meal, stuffing is my favorite. Today we're going to prepare stuffing my way. Beautiful stuffing. We're going to have mushrooms, onions, apples, celery, giblets, toasted almonds, our carrots. The sausage that we use, you can use either sausage in a casing and cut the casing off and saute it. And I use store-bought stuffing. I do mix my cornbread and my herb stuffing together. And I also have the stock from our giblets that we did earlier. So let's get started. I'm going to take our sausage that we started with earlier and sauteed, and I'm just going to take it inside the Cuisinier here. All right, there's some for me for later. Put it inside there. And I'm just going to take a quick pulse. That's all I want. I take that off. And we have a uniform size for all of our. And as I do that, I'll also follow that up with our giblets, because we want to get our giblets and get them of the same size too. So those will go inside here. That's it. We've got uniform size on everything. Now let's take the rest of that out of there. So we have everything at a uniform size. We can start now assembling everything that we've had here inside our bowl. So the first thing I put in the bottom of the bowl is I put the stuffing mix. And I'll mix my 2 cornbread with them. So you can see, we're going to blend both of these together. Mix them together. Now, I'll take our sausage that we put inside here, mushrooms, the onions. Next, we'll do our apples that were sauteed. I use a very little bit of celery because celery has a tendency to sour anything you put it in. So just use a little bit of celery. I also put in some toasted pecans. I toast them for about 4 minutes, about 400 degrees, and then pull them out, and you can chop those. Some carrots. And we'll add a few of the cranberries. This is it. I'm going to mix this together. Slowly, I'm going to fold this in just to get this mixed. When it's folded in, I'm going to start adding the moisture, the chicken stock that we cooked the giblets in. And I'll put this in till I get the right amount of moisture. You don't want it too wet and you don't want it too dry, kind of an in-between. Already you can feel the difference with the moisture getting inside. And it's smelling good, looks good. And I know all of you will be eating turkey, and I think I'll be eating stuffing. Beautiful. Needs just a little bit more of moisture. There we go. And that's about it. Now, what could be easier than this? Everything's together. I'll take this and I'll put it inside here. Oh, if you could just be here to smell this smell. Now, I don't push it down too much. I like this stuffing to be just a little bit light. As you cook it, as we'll cook it for about 35 minutes, 30 to 35 minutes at 400 degrees, 375, the heat will take that down. But basically, we've put everything together, an easy process. Do remember the giblets take at least 2.5 to 3 hours, and we reserve the stock from the giblet to put it inside here. That's the base of the flavor. That's that flavor that you're looking for. We're ready to go. Goes into the oven. It's been 45 minutes. Let's check the turkey. Yes, I think we need some more stock. That looks good. We'll check it again in another hour and 20 minutes. Mashed potatoes, my second favorite dish next to stuffing. I'm going to teach you how we're going to make a very good mashed potatoes. First thing, we have our russet potatoes, butter, a little bit of cream, our ricer. I take the russet potatoes, peel them, and I cut them into thirds. That's good. Just like this, makes even pieces for it to cook. I put it in and I cover the potatoes with chicken stock. Boil it. As soon as they start boiling, bring it down to a simmer. Cook them for about 30 minutes and then check them with a fork. Take a potato, put the fork into it. If it goes in easily, they're done. Don't overcook them. Overcooking them, they won't be gelatinous and they'll fall apart on the plate when you serve it. So, I have these done. I've riced these potatoes here, so I'll show you basically what we're going to do. Take a ricer, bring one of the potatoes right into it, squeeze it, I rice the potatoes because when you rice potatoes, it keeps them together, it keeps the gelatinous quality together. If you continuously mix with a potato masher, it starts to break the starches. Now, I'm going to put these back onto the stove for about 4 to 5 minutes. It'll take more moisture out, and that'll keep the potato together when we start adding the butter. It's been 5 minutes since we had the potatoes on the stove. And excuse me. Thank you, Peter Rubiso, my dear friend. These potatoes are now ready for the butter. I just take the butter and make sure that the butter is ice cold. It's very important that it's ice cold because it will keep that quality when it's ice cold. If you put warm butter in it, it tends to break down the gelatinous quality. You can see as we're stirring it how quickly that butter dissolves. As soon as we're finished with the incorporation of the butter, I put just a little bit of cream inside. Just a little bit of cream. I've warmed the cream. I don't put in cold cream. It gives it a nice, wonderful consistency. We keep it going. As you can see, what a nice consistency this is. There we go. Now, these potatoes, I add a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt to taste. That's it. I want to show you something. Look at the consistency of this. When this goes on the plate, they hold together, they don't fall apart. We're finished with the mashed potatoes. Put them back on the stove. You can hold them 15 minutes before you start serving them. Warm them. That's all there is. Well, it's been 1 hour and 20 minutes. Let's take it to the foil and remove it from the top of the turkey. Oh, look at that. We'll let it finish off, and it'll be ready in another 25 minutes. We're going to cook some real simple green beans with some pancetta. I've been cooking this pancetta over on the stove. You can see that it's done. The pancetta is just a little bit crispy. When I started, we had some big box store pancetta that I used. Pancetta is Italian bacon. If you don't have pancetta, just take some of your own bacon, cut it up into cubes of about 1/4 inch, and then saute it just like I did here. The green beans, this particular band that I use, one side is already cut, but I like to have all of the sides cut and even. So I use a real simple method. I just stack them up, then I just take my sharp knife and I just cut down along the side through the package. Very simply. This way, in here, you have all the ends. I take that. My green beans are all cut. They're all uniform size, and I put them into the pancetta. That's simple. I take this, and it's back on the stove. Finish sauteing them with the pancetta inside, and it's a wonderful dish. I take a little salt and pepper to taste. Taste them just before you're ready to serve them, and you're finished. Well, it's just under 2 hours now. Let's check the turkey. Oh, what a beautiful color. I'll check it, putting it right in here in the thick part. Look at that. 155 degrees. Absolutely perfect. Let's pull it. So here it's been less than 2 hours, and we've cooked this perfect holiday meal. This is Chef Marc's high heat turkey. We have this beautiful mashed potatoes, the pancetta and green beans, the stuffing with the giblets, the mushrooms, everything that we want. And the piece de resistance, the turkey. This turkey, perfectly cooked in 1 hour and 52 minutes. What did we have to do to it? Nothing. We adjusted the the chicken stock in it after a half hour. We didn't baste it. And look at this. Perfect color, moist, and you're ready to go. It's time to call in the family. Bon appetit. Welcome to the perfect holiday meal.